suppose I am. Jelly baby, officer?
Jelly baby?
Just take it.
Now, would you stand aside before I shoot myself?
Doctor Who is a complicated show. It's one of the only shows to have a main character who is played by so many different actors, and each one of those actors brings something special to the table. Every actor to play the Doctor has had at least a full season of television to showcase their performance and charm, and from the very first Doctor all the way to the current 15th Doctor, each one has become an iconic staple of the show. Except one. You see, the history of Doctor Who is a little complicated. It first ran from 1963 all the way to 1989 before being cancelled by the BBC. But, due to fan outcry, the show was brought back in 2005 for a whole new generation of fans, including me. And well, the rest is history, right? Not exactly. Because while the show was off air for 16 years, there was one on-screen appearance in between that time. Well, technically 3, but only one of them really counts. Okay, well, technically there's a fourth one too, but we're getting semantics here. There was a Doctor Who TV movie in 1996, and it introduces the world to the brilliant Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor. One small issue though. It kinda sucks. Like, Paul McGann is amazing in it, but everything else about this movie is just god awful. So, when the show was brought back in 2005, they decided to get rid of McGann and cast Christopher Eccleston in the role. And I mean, he's great, don't get me wrong, I love the 9th Doctor. But still, it led us fans to not knowing what happened to the 8th Doctor for years. Many wondered if we ever see him on screen again, if he was even canon, or if he would forever be left to the audio drama stories and comic books. Until the day of the Doctor. You see, for Doctor Who's 50th anniversary, the show brought back 2 of its most popular Doctors, and a new unseen iteration of the Doctor played by the great late John Hurt. And the episode was great, but what I find even better was a special mini-episode that played right before the real episode. A 5-minute special known as Night of the Doctor. It was Paul McGann's final, at the time, performance as the 8th Doctor, and is, in my opinion, the best piece of Doctor Who media to ever grace our screens. So today, we'll be taking a look at that extremely underrated episode, Night of the Doctor. The episode opens with a ship about to crash. The pilot begs for help, but the AI only registers that she wants a doctor. And here we get what is, in my opinion, the best line in all of Doctor Who.
I'm a doctor, but probably not the one you expected.
However, because of the ongoing Time War, a battle that spans all of time and space, the pilot doesn't trust the Doctor. He's part of the race that's killing billions and trillions of people. Even though he himself isn't in the war, his species is, and she doesn't trust him. The ship ends up crashing, killing them both. The end. Just kidding. You know, we still got 4 more minutes left on this episode. The Doctor is brought back by magical witches, and is given the chance to save himself, to save the universe from the Time War. But he says no. You see, the Doctor, at his core, is a good man. He struggles sometimes, even hurting people here and there. But when it comes down to it, he does the right thing. When the 12th Doctor is faced with letting a child version of Davros, the person who created the Daleks, creatures that nearly killed his entire species and want to destroy the entire universe, he still saves that child. He saves the boy that would basically grow up to be Space Hitler, because that boy was innocent. He hadn't done anything wrong yet. The Doctor will never let innocence die. He will never carry a weapon, and he will always do what's right. So when the 8th Doctor is given the chance to fight, he says no. He won't become a killer. In his last moments of life, he stays true to his morals. But this is where it gets interesting. The Doctor is faced with a dilemma. He can stay true to his morals, be a good man, and let the whole universe die. Or he can sacrifice himself, his dignity, and his morals, and become a warrior. One strong enough to stop the war. It's a tough choice, one he's never had to face before. When you are writing and you take a character and you put them in a lose-lose situation, it brings out the worst in them. If no matter what, the outcome means losing something important to your character, it becomes a really interesting scenario. And it's one a lot of writers use to great effect. Thanos killing Gamora in Infinity War, Superman killing Zod in Man of Steel, or any other scenes where our main character has to make a sacrifice. It's impactful, and this one is no different. The Doctor has spent his whole life doing what he thinks is good and right, but now, the universe doesn't need a doctor. It needs a warrior. What is he supposed to do? He can't betray his morals. That's the code he lives by. He spent hundreds of years defining it. But what's the point of a moral code when the universe, even time itself, won't exist for much longer? With one last speech, he says goodbye to his friends. It's a nice way of making the audio adventures Paul McGann had done for years canon to the show. He mentions the names of all his companions. That way, fans of the audio dramas like me can be like, hey, I recognize that thing. And right before he goes, he asks, will the transformation be painful? The witch says yes, and the Doctor replies good. He wants it to hurt. He's betraying everything he stands for and wants to be punished for it. He sees himself as a bad guy now and wants pain to be inflicted onto him. And then he regenerates into the War Doctor, and he will go on to commit atrocities throughout time and space. The honor he once had, the goodwill he worked so hard to obtain, he loses it all within the span of 5 minutes. This short is a beautiful piece of writing and acting. It doesn't work without the performance of McGann, who is, in my opinion, one of the all-time best actors working today. And the line delivery from him is superb. He sells everything from the quick jokes he makes at the start of the episode, to the guilt he has over the fact he let someone die, to finally the hate and anger he has for himself because of what he's doing. For a Doctor who's only had 3 on-screen appearances, he really proves himself as a staple of the franchise. He's by far the most underrated Doctor, and I hope this video brings some light to him. He's personally my favorite Doctor. I've loved listening to his audio adventures. Stuff like Zagreus is amazing, and the fact that he really never had a TV show to himself, it sucks. It's a sad fact of life that you won't always get what you deserve, and I think his Doctor really deserved much more. So, if you guys didn't know, recently I've released my own comic book, The Graphic Adventures of Uniman. It follows a hitman who has died and now has to discover his own life while going out for revenge on those who wronged him. It's a very personal story to me, and I put a lot of heart and effort into it. And if you're at all interested in supporting the content I make, or just want to check out a really good story, feel free to check out Uniman, or any of my other indie comics in the link below. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, have a nice day, and bye!